in education. Thanks, Erica. Are you in education? Are you a provider? Are you in another, do you work in another system? And then what age level do you work with? So I see we're across the lifespan, which is great. And some of you have used at least one tool. Okay. All right, but some of you have not. So most of you, 28 out of, whoops, more answers. 30 out of 45. So 2/3 have not used any of the tools. Good. Well, I hope by the end of the session today that you will leave with, I'm going to try this. I'm going to use this. I'll introduce Erica Young in a minute, but you see she has put a link in chat to the handouts. Erica, do you want to explain what's happening?
Yeah, of course. So I try to get them, Barb sent me the handouts and our platform for our email that we use to send out all the good stuff and handouts to you guys is having like a major issue currently. So I tried to send it to you guys all last night and I had no luck. And I thought I would have better luck today because you'll see like a lot of word fluff that says blah, 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 blah. And it like goes on a little topic. So I apologize that you'll see those kind of wordings in between the blue buttons you'll see. Please don't mind it. It's not like a virus or something fishy going on. It just won't delete. So please be aware of that. So you did get an email probably like about 8:30 this morning. I tried to fix it again and it's still not want me to delete it. So just disregard that if you could. I will also pop it as a Google Drive. For my Google Drive, I'll put the handouts that way too. I'm about to send it out. So there's something also in chat. So please and thank you guys. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Erica. Erica and I were on doing a session last night. So even early evening, she's like, it's not going through. I'm like, we'll figure it out. You can, there's lots of ways people can get the handout. So thanks for your patience. Good morning, everybody. My name is Barb Seferis. So you will have the PowerPoint. And I am, I work for the Nysonger Center for the Family Resource Network of Ohio. I also work for the Nexus, or the national team for Charting the Life course. And I'm also a person-centered thinking trainer and mentor trainer. All of our Charting the Life course trainings that are provided by the Family Resource Network of Ohio are funded by the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities and the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. So we're able to share information without cost to you, to families, or to self-advocates. If you are interested in other trainings, this will just be an overview, but we do shorter sessions where we focus solely on one resource or one tool, or how to apply it in, specific situations like respite, or looking at relationships, or looking at the one page. Please sign up on our website, frnohio.org, and you will get emails of announcing all of our opportunities. If you are a social media user, please also like our Facebook page. We post what's coming up, but we also post stories of how people in Ohio are using Charting the Life course and the impact on lives. So we have stories from families, from self-advocates, from service coordinators, from professionals across systems, across ages. So parent mentors, teachers, or intervention specialists, all sorts of therapists, just so you can see, oh, I'm working in a similar situation. That's a great idea. I think I'll try using that resource or tool. So please like our Facebook page if that is something you do. We are scheduled for 3 hours. You will get 3 CEUs if you attend the whole time. And we will be going into breakout rooms a couple of times. So when you go into breakout rooms, we would ask that you put your camera on and unmute and participate, just as if we were in person and you were at a table and having a conversation. We will take a break around midway through the 3 hours. But if you need to get up, if you need to walk, I'm a pacer. If I'm in an in-person training, I'm the one that's walking around the room or standing up because I can't sit the whole time. This is really taxing my patients sitting. So our Family Resource Network of Ohio, our team, Tracy Mans is our project manager. She is not on the call, but Erica is, and she will be putting information in chat. She's the one that spoke to you about the challenge we had with getting the handouts out. She will also monitor chat for questions. Please feel free to type questions in chat at any time you have them. If she cannot answer, she will unmute and let me know there's a question in chat. So please feel free to ask questions anytime. Doesn't bother me.
Hey, Barb, can I just mention, I know sometimes I might get a lot of emails because this has happened before of SSA meetings. I know Barb mentioned earlier there, you got to stay the whole 3 hours. So I just want to make that aware. You do have to stay the 3 hours. I wish we can be kind and gentle and say, you stay on for 2 hours and 30 minutes, we're going to get you a certificate. And I would love my best to make you one in like a 2 hour and 30 minutes, but we have a time limit. So we on Zoom can see the time that you are on this meeting. And if you don't hit that quota minutes, which I can't think what it is exactly, it's like a 3 hours, 60, something like that. You just got to make sure you're on that time, because even if you're like 2 minutes shy of that time, we unfortunately have to deny your request for that certificate. So I just want to be, just aware that you guys got to be on that time frame. I just want to let you all know that, because I can't be as kind as I want to, because people higher up got to have that time. So please be aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica. Absolutely. This is just like if you were in person. You don't get your certificate if you don't stay the whole time. So thank you for that transparency. I'm part of the Family Resource Network of Ohio team, as well as Celia Schlomer, who's in the Cincinnati area. So a little bit about me. I live outside of Cleveland. I live about a half an hour northeast of Cleveland. I worked for the Cuyahoga County Board for 36 years. My background is as a speech language pathologist. I was an SSA. I had a variety of other administrative roles. But I also started out as a DSP sub and a sub teacher in a county board school. So I've worked in the public schools, the Montessori school, Catholic schools, county board, several county board schools. But I'm also a sibling, and I had 2 younger brothers. You see on the picture with Santa, that's my youngest brother, Nick. He was 4 years younger than me. And when he was 6 months old, he was diagnosed with a developmental disability, cerebral palsy. At the time, there were no public services. So everything was a private agency, private pay. We had early intervention services, which were not a thing because Nick was born in 1958. But we had home-based services within a month of his diagnosis. So therapists came in our home, speech, OT, PT, and provided those supports in our home. My middle brother, Jim, was in an accident in his 30s, and it affected his ability to work and to get through his day. So I had a brother with a developmental disability before age 22 and a brother with an acquired disability. And I also have worked in the field for over 49 years. So I've been on both sides of the table is what I'm trying to say. There are 7 handouts. The PowerPoint, 2 Charting the Life course fact sheets or infographics, the portfolio, the 1-page with guidance, the vision tool, and the integrated support options. Again, this today is an overview You're not going to get in depth on anything, but we have several opportunities for you if you want to learn more about the one page or the trajectory or the domains that are on the OISP and how to ask those questions and have conversations. Please look at frnohio.org and sign up for other opportunities. So today it's just an introduction to the principles and the framework, but also to some of the more common tools that are used in Ohio. And what we want to do is we want to build common language across service systems. So from EI, schools, DDs, mental health, aging, across all the systems, so that if somebody says, let's talk about the life domain of social and spirituality, everybody knows what that means. Or let's do a trajectory, everybody knows what that means. So we want to build common language in Ohio. On the left-hand side, you see icons representing the basic principles of charting the life course, and I'll go through all of them. On the right side, you see that there is a national community of practice to support families. Ohio is a member of that national community. What I love about being part of the national community is we have the opportunity to learn what people are doing in other states. But we also get to share what we're doing in Ohio with people in other states. So the learning is beyond just what we're doing in Ohio, beyond what we're doing just in DD or education, but what are people doing in health and in juvenile justice or adult justice? In Ohio, we have a community of practice. We meet quarterly. Our next meeting is next week. Yes, next week, from 10 to 11:30. It is on Zoom. And a community of practice is just a group of people who are passionate about something. And we're passionate about supporting and empowering people and families across the lifespan, across service systems. And we commit to meet and share our learning. So it's not a training, but it's let's hear what people are doing. Let's learn from their experiences and let's see what we can do and take the information they're sharing about what they're doing and perhaps apply it in our work or in our lives if you are a family member or a self-advocate. So what we want to see in Ohio is we want to see all people, families, people with lived experience across service systems, across the lifespan, use Charting the Life course. We want them to feel supported and empowered. And we want families to use the tools and self-advocates to help organize their thoughts and share with people who help them, both paid and unpaid. So organize their thoughts about their vision of a good life, organize what their concerns are and put it down on paper so that they are a more active member of the team and not just answering questions from the professional. What we don't want is you to say, oh my gosh, more paper, how am I going to do this? And what we don't want is people to say this is more work. Actually, it is less work because we are empowering people to be more prepared and to be more active and to be more person-centered. So in chat, what I'd like you to do for the next minute or so is, why are you taking this? And what are you hoping to learn or get from this 3 hours? You've committed to be present for 3 hours to get your 3 CEUs. Why are you here? And if you could type in chat, it will help me. This is a quick way for me to do a needs assessment and make sure that I am covering what you're asking for, or if I can't, I can say to you, you need to look at another opportunity or another presentation. New SSA, new SSA. Okay. All right. So good to have you, though. Thank you. And thank you for your leadership staff who must have told you about this. So thanks for joining. I'm so glad to hear. Learn more about charting the life course, grow stronger. Janine, I think I'll give you resources to help you have those conversations with people. And so it's not a checklist, but it's really, have you thought about, let's talk about, great. How to be a more effective team member as an SSA. Oh, a QIDP, great, very, very nice. And a new grad, oh my gosh, Isabel, well, thanks for joining us. Creative ways to use Charting Life course, deeper understanding, additional knowledge, also a new SSA, love it, love it. Oh, a new district parent mentor, awesome, awesome. Help families with transition. You know, we should probably do something just on transition, Andrea, because there's so many great resources just for transition. Learn more, refresh my skills, better planning for the OISP, great. Connect my knowledge of IEPs to ISPs in your new role, gain more knowledge, intervention specialist, great to have you, Lindsay. And oh, high school students, oh, yes, so many great uses to actually take some of these tools and maybe even incorporate them in your curriculum. Special needs, 30 years as an intervention specialist, and a new SSA. Oh my goodness, Marcia. Peer mentor, awesome, awesome. Great to have you. Effective SSA, help desk get milestones. Oh, awesome. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Gay, for sharing that. As a parent and an agency provider, new SSA, project search. Oh, great, great. OOD, oh, Tara, it's so good to have you as a OOD counselor. You've seen it. I hope you can find it as you do your, you meet people and find out what they truly are looking for. Also great tools for employment planning. Life course and how to use it as a guardian, parent mentor, nonprofit housing. A lot of the, you know what, I will try to point out, but there is so much, there are so many resources for each domain, like community living, transition, which is a life stage, but employment, which is a domain. And I hope that you will be able to pull them out and use them. New parent consultant with Ohio Department of Health. Nice to have you, December. Great. How to use Charting the Life course to apply to your OISPs, a parent, SSAs, ever-changing caseload, yes. Oh my gosh. And transition youth, newer SSA milestones, great to have you. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. So many, such a diverse background, diverse as far as your roles, but also your experience, and also your interests. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing. Our core concept, or why we do this work, why we use Charting the Life course, is we believe all people and their families have the right to live, love, work, play, learn, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. And you see, it says all people and families. It doesn't say all people with disabilities. It says all people. So we are talking about a framework that is applicable across life stages, across abilities, across service systems. So we want everyone to have a good life. For the person, we want them to have that civil right of self-determination, which is control over decisions affecting your life. And that is a civil right. That is not a DD term. It is a civil right. We want people to be interdependent. Now, I know this goes against some of the language in your plans, even the IEP. We want people to be independent, but reality is none of us are. None of us are independent. We are interdependent. And all I have to do is ask you one simple question, and that is, why do you work? And I am guessing the answer for why you work is so that you can pay for things. So you have the life you value. We are not independent. I do not balance my checkbook. I have never been able to balance my checkbook, but no one has said to me, you cannot have a bank account because you have to learn how to balance your checkbook. I have other ways to support me, like checking my accounts online, like being happy if the bank says I have more money than I think I have in my checkbook, that I pay my bills on time and I don't bounce checks. So I don't need to learn the math, and I don't need to be able to balance my checkbook. I say that because I cannot tell you how many families will say, my loved one will never be able to live in their own apartment or live with a roommate because they can't. And the reality is, how many of you, when you went away to college, knew how to do your laundry, knew how to cook, or did you live on ramen noodles? Why do we put these expectations on people with disabilities when we all have help? Okay, I have a handyman. I can't do stuff in my house. I have someone clean my house. Why? Because I hate cleaning. And so that is a perk for me. So please, we've got to stop telling people they need to be independent. We had one mom who shared that her son would never talk at his IEP meeting because he was always told he had to be more independent. He had to be more independent. And she said he would actually hang his head and never say a word. And after she heard me say this, she talked to her son, she talked to her husband and said, oh my God, this lady told me nobody's independent. She's right. And they sat their son down and said, we are so sorry. We just heard this woman talk about how no one is independent. And, you know, we've been saying you have to be independent, but we all need help. And they started sharing, you know, I need help. Your dad needs help. And the son looked up and said to them, I thought you wouldn't love me if I wasn't independent. And I thought, what are we doing to people? He said, I try. So please, you know, we're all interdependent. We depend on other people. We use strategies so that we don't have to demonstrate a skill, like balancing my checkbook or my accounts. So we want people to be productive and feel included in their community, but we want families to be supported. I don't know if anybody got kicked out of Zoom, but if you did, type it in chat. We'll see if there's an issue. We want families to feel supported in ways that maximize their capacity. So I always tell people, we have to start with the assumption that families have strengths, they have capacity, and our role is to empower them to realize their strengths and to have some power and control so that they can support their loved one. I love sharing, especially when professionals are on, the Rehab Act of 1973. You see, this is 51 years old. And I just want you to look under number 3. Disability is a natural part of the human experience. It does not diminish people's rights to live independently, enjoy self-determination. And you see that make choices is separate from self-determination. Making choices, whether I drink coffee or whether I drink pop in the morning, is a choice. And yes, it does give me control over my life. But when we talk about self-determination, we're talking about having control over decisions that affect your life, where you live, what you do, who you spend time with. And so think about that. We need to empower people with more than just choices. Pursue meaningful careers, not jobs, careers, not placements, careers. and be fully integrated in American society. Now, some of the language you'll hear in Charting the Life course is language right out of the Rehab Act. This is the law that families use to fight for their children to be able to go to school, or what is now IDEA, 94-142 in 1974, where they said, wait a minute, we want our kids to go to school in the public schools with their brothers and sisters. Before that, children with disabilities, significant disabilities, were excluded from public school. So I don't care what system you work in, we all have to be person-centered. I don't care. When you go to the doctor, you even see on the walls, we are patient-centered. Okay, everybody has to be person-centered. Also, most of our systems get funding from Medicaid, which is a federal health insurance. So Medicaid says, we have to be person-centered. And Ohio rule, we have to be person-centered. All of these systems say that we need to support people, help them. We need to empower them, give them tools and resources to increase their control, which is self-determination, which is a civil right. We need to help people be seen as valued members of their community, where they share their gifts, not just where they visit and go on outings. I don't share my gifts when I go to Walmart. Okay, that is not a place in the community where I belong and I contribute. That's a place I go run an errand. So where do people belong? And do people have a life they value? So in every system, I was a speech language pathologist. It didn't matter. I had to assess people. I had to develop a plan. I had to implement that plan. I had to review the plan. I had to help them find resources. I had to help them find funding. I had to help them problem solve, and I had to collaborate with other members of the team. I don't care if you're a teacher, an intervention specialist, a parent mentor, an OOD counselor, an SSA, you have to do all these things in order to perform your job and document and be accountable. So Charting the Life course is about having different conversations. It is not a checklist. It is having conversations. So SSAs, you want to learn how to get better information for your OISP. I'm not going to give you a checklist. I'm going to give you conversation starters. I'm going to give you points to consider. I'm going to give you points to share with people and families. OOD, lots of questions about what is your vision for employment? Why do you want a job? It's a different way of thinking. We encourage high expectations. We never want to say to somebody, no, you can't. So one of my favorite stories is somebody who told his team he wanted to be a pilot. And people on the team said, you can't read. You don't know numbers. You can't be a pilot. And his job coach said to him, so why do you want to be a pilot? What do you like about being a pilot? And he said, my dad was a pilot. This young man had lived in a state institution and had just moved out of the state institution. He said, and he had been institutionalized as a young child. He said, my dad was a pilot, and I remember going to the airport. His dad flew small planes, not jets, And he said, I remember going to the airport and waving to my dad and when he left or when he came back. And the job coach said, okay, there is a small county airport in our county. Let's go see if they have any opportunities. They went to the county airport. They asked to talk to the manager. The manager said, no, I don't have any jobs. No, Job coach left his business card and said, well, if anything comes up, let me know. About a month later, he gets a call and he says, I have a job for maintenance, cleaning. And he said, well, let me talk to the young man. Talk to him. Do you want to go see what the job is? Oh, sure. He got the job. Now, did he become a pilot? No, but he was in the environment with other pilots. The pilots loved him. Why? Because he talked to them. How are you? Where are you going? Oh, when are you coming back? Oh, I won't be here. I'll see you next time. And he helped them. He did his job. He took care of the maintenance, cleaned the, whatever it's called, the terminal, I don't know, whatever. He got promoted. He started driving the little cart that went out and unloaded the planes. The manager loved him. Why? Because he showed up on time. He was pleasant. He engaged with the pilots and he got his job done. I would like to think that one of those pilots took him up in their plane. It's just my dream. But, he didn't become a pilot, but he's working around pilots. So never say, no, you can't, but let's dig more and find out. What do you like about that? What would you like to do? Instead of, nope, sorry, you can't. Charting the Life course is not just about tools and it's not a program. And I know that there has to be people on the call who say, but Barb, I work with people who don't talk. Barb, I work with people who are dual diagnosed. They have mental health and DD issues. Barb, I work with people who can't answer questions. And please remember that when we say we are person-centered, that it means that we get the information from people's words and actions and from the people who know them the best. So that could be family, that could be the intervention specialist, that could be the bus driver, that could be staff. If they're in a residential setting and there's staff every day who see them or in a day program. I was a licensed speech language pathologist for 45 years before I retired my license. I never met anyone that did not communicate what they liked, what they didn't like, what they want, what they don't want, and that didn't have people in their life who could share that with the team. So there are no yes buts. Yes, but how do you do this with someone who doesn't talk? You talk to people who know them well and say, hey, what do they like? What makes a good day? What makes a bad day? Because that's just as important. Or somebody asked me once, but I work in early intervention. They can't tell me their vision. Of course they can't. But who holds the vision for that toddler or that baby? It's their parents. So what is their vision for what they want for their child? In Charting the Life course, we have 8 guiding principles. First of all, Charting the Life course is for everyone across the lifespan, across abilities. We honor and respect and value the family system and that families go through cycles and their needs may change because what happens to one person affects the whole family. We recognize that we go through life stages from birth through the end of our life, and that we need to have a vision. And it doesn't matter where we start talking to people about a vision, whether they are 1 year old or whether they are 50 or 70. We talk about life outcomes, not skills necessarily, but outcomes. What kind of life do you want? Because then what we support people to learn should be related to the life outcome they have. And we also recognize that you need to have experiences. How do you know what you want if you've never done something? How do you know what you don't want if you've never done something? So I always say I'm Greek American. I'm probably the only Greek you'll ever meet that never worked in a restaurant. And yes, I can be prejudiced because I am a member of that community. So I'm just saying. I have never worked in a restaurant, and that is for good reason. I am a klutz. So, life domains. We talk about 6 life domains, which are, and I'll go through them. They're really quality of life areas. We talk about 3 buckets of support, and I'll talk about that in more detail, that we need to look at integrated supports across 5 areas, and that people and their families should be involved in developing policy, procedures, and practices and processes. Not just that they get informed, but they're actually part of that discussion and actually part of the decision making. So we believe that all people exist within the context of family, whether that family is biological. I know from my 49 years experience that a lot of people don't have biological family in their life. Those people have passed. Those people have, maybe they've been separated from their family. Both of my siblings have passed. My mother has passed. So my biological family is very limited right now. I have 2 nieces. And so, but I have chosen family. I have family that I have people that I consider family, even though there is not a biological connection. And so we recognize that people have family that are biological and chosen, and that people identify who's in their family, not us. So, and again, I grew up in a Greek American culture. I call people aunt and uncle. They are not related to me. But if my mother, when I would ask her, how are they related? She said, just be quiet, call them aunt and uncle. So maybe you grew up in a similar culture. You call people aunt and uncle. So we focus on the person, of course, but we don't separate them from the family. So it's a holistic approach. We know that 65% of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities live with family. And so we are not going to say, hey, we only talk to you, we don't talk to your family, because we don't want to create anything where we're separating someone from that family and from the support that they give them. It is a holistic approach. I told you I'm a sibling. Maybe you don't know this, but siblings are not considered family in the Family Medical Leave Act unless we have legal guardianship over our brothers or sisters. So not just me, who had 2 brothers with disabilities, but if you as a sibling want to take a FMLA because maybe a brother or sister is dealing with a chronic illness or cancer or anything, your employer doesn't have to give you FMLA because you're a sibling, and that's not considered family, which totally blows my mind. Because my mother told me those guys were related to me. They were my family, those brothers of mine. I have in the bottom left-hand corner that there is a sibling Facebook group from the Sibling Leadership Network. It is a closed group, which means that any comments people make cannot be seen publicly, only by the members, and you have to be a sibling to join. So if you are working with adults, because a lot of the topics are, worries about what their brother or sister may be doing sexually or behaviorally. So it is for adults. And it is called SibNet. So if you're working with families and you have an adult sibling that is active, you might want to share that there is a closed Facebook group for support for siblings. And I'll tell you again why that's important, not on this slide, but on the next slide. Excuse me. In Charting the Life course, we believe that there's reciprocity in all of our relationships. We give and hopefully we receive, that there's reciprocity, give and take. We talk about the concepts of caring about, which you see with a heart, and caring for, which is typically represented with the icon of a shield, or sometimes a person with a roof over their head. The caring about are the emotional caring, who shows you affection and love and is worried about your self-esteem and will tell you what a great person you are and you're good at this, or this is what I admire about you. Who knows your stories? You know, the repository of knowledge. I have two nieces in their 30s. Both of their parents are deceased, my brother and their mother. And every time I see them, I laugh because they always ask me, tell me about when I was a little girl. Tell me about when I was a little girl. Tell me about when we saw Disney on Ice. Tell me about when we went and saw Sesame Street live. And they'll tell me the whole story and then say, tell me, Auntie Barbie, tell me. And I'm like, I have the stories. And they're like, nobody has those stories. And that's what they tell me. Nobody knows. The caring for are the physical caring, you know, who's providing that day-to-day care, who's maybe providing financial support, who's helping them be included. Come on, and think about in your own life, who calls you up and says, let's go see this movie, I heard it was great, or let's go try this new restaurant, or we should join a book club. They are facilitating your inclusion. And who advocates? Think about in your own life. Who do you say, will you help me when I go to the doctor's appointment? I want somebody there who can listen and hear information and help me understand. Or who will help me call the power company because they've overcharged me and blah, 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 whatever. So we believe that everybody in a family gives and receives. And this is important so that people can start looking at who provides even a piece of this caring to somebody. I told you one of our principles is the principle of the 3 buckets. Think about any concern you have in your life. We all have 3 areas of need. So think about vacation. If you want to go on vacation, you have a need to get information. That's the blue bucket. So what do? Maybe you Google, maybe you, I don't know, you go look online and you look at hotels or Airbnbs or something. Or what can I do if I go here? What are the highlights? The middle bucket is connecting and networking. So talking to other people who have a similar experience. So I love on social media when I see somebody say, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. for 3 days. What do I absolutely need to do? We're connecting with others. And then goods and services. How am I going to get there? Where am I going to stay? Where are we going to eat? Am I going to fly? Am I going to drive? I'm planning to go to a conference and it will take me 6.5 hours to drive or 7 hours to drive. It'll take me 10 hours from the time I get on the first plane to the time I get off the second plane, and I have to cross the country almost. So, you know, I've got to make I've got to think about this, you know, what are the goods and services? How am I going to get there? The reason we talk about these 3 buckets is when you work with families, when you work with people, they have needs in these 3 areas. Information, who can I talk to who's been there, and what will help me, the goods and services. As professionals, for those of you that are professionals, parent mentors, intervention specialists, SSAs, OOD, I'm sorry, OOD, I'm sorry, see, working in the system, we start using shortcuts. How do we fill the buckets? When we're talking to people, are we giving them information? Are we helping them connect with others? Are you aware of this parent group or this sibling group? Or are you aware of, you can talk to these people. There are several people from Milestones, one who's answering the help desk. So she's doing a lot of connecting and giving people information. If it's, I'm sorry, I don't know if it was a she or a he, I apologize. And goods and services, here are some things you might want to look at or look into. So we all have these needs. As professionals, how are we filling the buckets? Every time we talk to somebody. So, yeah. Erica's typing in chat. Please feel free to type your questions in chat. I would rather answer them as we go. So let's talk about the power of words. You know, the words we use convey our values and beliefs. They do. And every time I talk to people and ask them to describe their loved one, they tell me the deficits. Oh, my daughter's son is so many years old. They have this diagnosis and this diagnosis and this diagnosis, and they go to day program or school, and they live at home or they live in a group home or whatever. And they tell me the services, but they don't tell me anything about the person. And the one thing they almost never tell me is their name. Now, just think about that. We have taught families to talk about what made someone eligible for services, not who they are as the human being they love. In the service system, we do this all the time. We talk about the diagnosis. We already know they're eligible for services because we're working with them. So why do we reiterate that? So let's talk about what words can we use. We sent you the portfolio. On the first page is something called the one-page person-centered description. There are two versions. The one on the left is the one on the portfolio. The one on the right that has an extra box in the top part of the form has a section to put a photo, and that's one that we revised to be used in Ohio. The one page is a way to shift the narrative and not talk about the person with disabilities, but talk about who they are as a human being. The one page is not the same as the intro page on the OISP. It is not the same, and it is not written for the same purpose. The introduction page on the OISP stays with the OISP. The one-page person-centered description is written to be used across different environments, different purposes. So there's 3 sections plus a place for a photo. And I'll go through each section. It really introduces us to who is this person. And it doesn't have to be a fancy document. I will show you many examples. They are Word documents, so they are nothing fancy. Why a photo? Because when you see a photo, you see the person. You see a human being, not just a bunch of words. Of course, you have to ask the person, if you're going to help someone develop a one page or suggest this to a family, you're going to ask them, can we, do you want to put your picture on here? It'll make people see who you are. It'll make people see that you're a person. And most people will give their permission, and then they can pick the photo to be meaningful to them. The first section is like and admire. And what we want to learn is qualities, not what people do. Not that they're in Special Olympics, because that's what they do. But what are their qualities? Are they athletic? Are they competitive? Are they just social? They want to be around lots of people. So what are their qualities, not what they do? There's a list of human qualities. I'm also going to show you a whole list from Dr. Google, but I want you to type in chat, what are 1 or 2 qualities that people like and admire about you? Think about your family, maybe your coworkers, maybe the people you work with, that you support. What are 1 or 2 qualities that they would identify about you? I will tell you that this is difficult for people with lived experience to identify. I don't know. Is anybody saying that the slides are blurry beside Tamara? They are blurry? Beth, are you saying yes, the slides are blurry? You can unmute if you want. Slides are blurry? Okay, hold on. Let me stop.
They look slightly like fuzzy on my end, but I don't know if it was just me. I've had a morning, so I was like, oh no, is it just me and I'm not able to, my contacts are fuzzy, but you can still read them. There's no worries. We can, like, from my end, I can still read them. It's just that it's slightly fuzzy almost. The text is. Now it's clear. On my end, it's clear.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much. Thank you. All of you who told me, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so what do people like and admire? Ooh. Okay, hardworking, funny. I'm just oohing not about what you type, but about the slides being fuzzy, so I apologize. Caring and giving, good listener, kind, hardworking, kind, helpful, friendly, responsible, trusting. I love it. I love it. So when you're talking to people and you're asking them, you know, if you are helping them develop a one-page for a reason, and I'll talk about the possible reasons, you want them to identify their qualities. If they say, one gentleman who has a job, he develops flyers for a nonprofit and does some of their artwork. And he asked his employer, what do you like about me? And he said, you make nice flyers.
Can I get that to you?
Well, whoever's unmuted, you can go back and mute now. And his employer said, I like that you make such good flyers. Their flyers are nice. So he said to me, I asked my employer and he said, I make good flyers. I said, that's what you do. But what's inside of you that helps you make these beautiful flyers? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, I'm guessing that you have to be creative. Oh, yeah, I'm creative. Oh, okay. I'm guessing you have to be artistic. Oh, yeah. I have to be artistic. So you may have to have a deeper conversation and ask people if they tell you what they do. You know, we want to empower people to understand what we're talking about, not just say, I'm person-centered because I took that he said he makes nice flyers and I wrote it down. Well, no, let me educate you. This is what I'm looking for. What's inside of you? So, and we may have to help people because they've never been told, or their qualities may never have been recognized and shared. Their skills may have, you know, you do this nicely, you make nice flyers, you're a Special Olympics athlete, but their qualities may not have been identified. The second section is what's important to me. And this is not what I like or my preferences. And let me go into a little more deep about what's important to. Important to and important for are two terms that are in Medicaid language. They are on the OISP, but let's separate important to from important for. The difference between to and for is important to is what the person tells us with their words and their actions. Important for is what other people say, their family, the doctor, their counselor, the therapist, the teachers. It's what other people say. It is, so if someone says, I don't want to feel so bad about myself, that is important too. Now, what the counselor may say, important for, or the psychiatrist may say, is that you continue to take your medication. So important to is what the person tells us with their words and their actions. So remember, people tell us what's important to, even though they don't use words. Important for is what other people say. When we are writing a one page, we do not write important for. We focus on important to. And we might address the important for in another way. So let's look back at, important to. There are 8 areas of important to. This third bullet. So when you're talking about important too, I even break it down and ask people, who's important in your life? If you did not see them, if you did not talk to them, it would impact your quality of life. And don't just accept family and friends, because that's so generic. It doesn't tell me who they really want to keep in touch with, who they want to see, who they want to spend time with. So we need to get the details. There are 8 areas, and I'm pretty sure on a future slide, you will see me share it a little bit more. We also want people to be seen as a valued member of the community. So we are valued members of our community because we share our gifts of our head, our heart, and our hands. Not because we go to McDonald's or we go on outings, but think about where you contribute in your community. Maybe you volunteer, maybe for your faith-based community, maybe at your child's school, maybe you volunteer somewhere in your community, the food bank or some other entity that supports people. One woman told me for years, decades, she has volunteered and gone on a mission trip with her church to, oh shoot, I forgot where she goes, somewhere in the Caribbean, Haiti, I think. Oh, I can't remember. And I asked her one year, we were having breakfast at a conference. And I said to her, did you go yet on your mission trip? She said, no, I go in a month. I said, oh, what do you do? I've never gone on a mission trip. And she said, well, Barb, I put up walls. I said, what? She goes, well, Barb, people don't have houses. They make these huts out of cardboard boxes. And so we go we put houses, we build houses. And I said, oh my goodness, that's awesome. What else do you do? She goes, I paint. I said, what do you paint? She said, Barb, the walls that we put up. I said, oh, okay. What else do you do? And she said, well, sometimes we have machinery. And so I'll take the little kids away from the machinery and maybe I'll tell them stories or, I'll talk to them. I said, cool, what else do you do? She said, oh, Barb, wait. And she pulls out her smartphone, swipes, and shows me a picture and says, I made these centerpieces. I have a pancake breakfast at my church to raise money for the mission trip. And I made the centerpieces. I said, wow, those are very cool. She said, and also, I buy toys and take them to the kids because Barb, they don't have toys. And I said, oh, wow. I said, can I ask you a question? She said, sure. I said, does the church give you money to buy the toys? She said, no, Barb. My sister helps me budget all year long and I save money and then I buy the toys with my money. So think about, I said, this is awesome. I said, so you're a builder. And she said, what? I said, you're a builder. And she said, no, I put up walls. I said, you're a painter. She said, no, I paint the walls. I said, you're a storyteller and a teacher. She said, no, I just talk to the kids. I said, you're an artist. She said, what? I said, you made these beautiful centerpieces. And she said, oh, and I said, you're a philanthropist. And she said, Barb, what the blank is that? And I said, it's someone who uses their money to help others. Do you see the difference in my language and her language? She identified actions. I build, or I put up walls, I paint, I take the kids aside, I tell them stories, I made a centerpiece, I had a pancake breakfast, and I bought toys. I identified valued roles. You're a builder, you're a painter, you're an artist, you're a philanthropist, you're a storyteller, you're a teacher. We need to start talking about people and with people and recognizing their gifts and what they contribute to their community. I want you to think about your own community. Community is not a program. It's, we have community life, community living, community engagement, community employment, community outings, community, I don't know what else. Community is not where you visit, it's where you belong. And when you show up regularly to the same group and that group knows you, and think about your community. It might be your faith-based community, it might be your book club, it might be your bowling league, it might be your kids' activities, because you're always there and people know you're reliable and you contribute. Sociologists tell us we have 3 places in our life. Our first place is our home. Our second place is where we go during the day, school, work, volunteer, whatever. Our third place is where we attend on a regular basis. And I mean a regular basis. So think a club, a group, an activity that you go to every week or every 2 weeks. And where when you don't show up, you're missed. So think about your community. Do you know, if you're supporting people, do you know what their community is, where they belong and where they contribute? So let's go back to important 2. The learning community for person-centered practices has defined important 2. Medicaid has adopted this definition of important 2. In Ohio rule, we have had to put on ISPs, probably for 25 years, what's important to people. On the Ohio ISP, there is a section under each domain to identify important to. Please know there may not be something important to people in every domain. Just know that. I don't know if you're mandated to fill in every section, every square, but people may not have something that's important to in every domain. Important to are the things that help people feel satisfied, comforted, content, and fulfilled and happy. It's not what they like or prefer. It is much deeper. So I want you to think about what's important to you. Don't say family and friends, but what do I need to see? How will I know it's happening? So is it having dinner without technology? Is it going on date night with your spouse? Is it going out to dinner once a month with your friends? Is it being part of a book club that if you didn't go to that book club, you would be like, oh my gosh, my life is impacted. I don't feel happy. Please don't, when you ask people, don't just accept likes and preferences. I like Diet Pop. I prefer Diet Coke over Diet Pepsi. I really like Diet Dr. Pepper, but it is not important to me to have that. On the other hand, when I travel, I pack a 4-cup coffee maker. Why? Because I hate those 1-cup things in a hotel room. And I pack my own coffee, and I pack my own thermal mug. My coffee is important to me. So look at these 8 areas. People to be with, status and control. I ask people receiving supports, what makes you feel important? What gives you control over your life? They will often tell me, I help people. I have my own key to my own apartment. I have my own money. I have a cell phone. Things to do and places to go. That's usually where we get the typical information on a plan of what's important to people. We get the Holy Trinity, going to Walmart, going to McDonald's, and going bowling. And that's only one of the 8 areas. Rituals and routines, think about when you get up in the morning. We all have routines. We get up, we go somewhere for the day, we come home, we go to bed, we eat meals. What are your rituals in those routines? Rhythm or pace of life. Are you someone who gets up early and goes, or are you someone who starts out slow? I happen to be someone who gets up early and goes. So yesterday I sent an email, I think at 5:30 or 5:45 in the morning, and the response was, "You're up awful early." Things to have, I've always got my water bottle when I'm on Zoom. I always have my cell phone so I can monitor the time, even though I wear a smartwatch. It just helps me to look at the phone. And then culture and identity. So type in chat a couple of things that are important to you so that if I were working with you, I would know whether you have that in your life. So I ask people, what pronouns do you want us to use? Is there anything important about your culture? And I will share that I'm Greek, that the food is important, the language is important, the faith is important. Thank you, Caitlin, for being first. Important to be able to spend time with my husband. Your morning routine. Oh, a coffee and a morning run. Awesome. Legos. I love it. And I will just tell you, people, I would say coffee is important to me, and people would be like, "Oh, thank you for helping me. Here's a Starbucks gift card." I don't like Starbucks. So I'm very specific. It's my coffee that I make. It's not the coffee from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever. To be in nature, spending time with people I enjoy and love, create artwork, be organized, Polish food, yay! Traveling, sleep, coffee, building with wood. Oh, awesome. Creating art. Good conversation, lunch or dinner with friends. Absolutely. I was training all day yesterday, and Erica knows because we were on Zoom till 5:30. And while I was on, one of my friends texted, "What are you doing this evening?" And I knew that meant, "Do you want to go to dinner?" So I was very quick while I was Zooming to text, "Training till 5:30. And the response was, "I have a taste for sushi." And I'm like, yes. So Friday night, routing of pizza night. Oh my God, I love it. Oh, that's so fun. Family trips, health, my weekly Zoom call with my son. Yes, and see his face. Yes, don't just tell me family, but if I were, Andrea, just thank you for sharing that. If I were supporting you and you needed any help, that would tell me exactly what I need to make sure happens, which is why when we get that information about important to, we find out exactly what that means. Quiet time without people. Absolutely, Linda, I'm with you. Dinner with family, stretch to reduce body pain, go out once time a month with my best friend, your children's events, family getaways, gym, absolutely. Oh, that's one that makes, I haven't been able to go to the gym. I won't go today. I didn't go yesterday. Tomorrow I'm going to the gym. Making my son happy, your dog, geocaching, awesome. Downtime. Can't be around people all day. I think people don't realize that because we're in a profession where we're constantly talking, people think I'm outgoing and social, but boy, when I'm done working, I want quiet time, and I'm very quiet, very shy. And I know, don't laugh and don't say I don't believe it. I am. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing. This is the information we need to get from people when we're having those conversations with them. Not just their likes and preferences, but what is actually important to them. Thank you so much, you guys. Attending church, being able to bake, new bread, culture and identity. And if that culture, we got to know what that culture is. If somebody says my culture, then I want to know, what does that mean? What do we need to make sure happens? Walking with your dog before bed, crafty things that you enjoy, date nights with hubby, calling your mom every day. Okay. Oh my goodness. So many. Time in the garden. Time to play Sims. All right. Thank you, everybody. Those are awesome. Please make sure that you're getting that detail when you're talking to people and developing the ISP. Dig deeper with them. If they start saying something generic like my family, one woman told me my family, I said, yeah, but what about your family? What do you want to do? What do you like to do with your family? And she said, I like quiet time with mom and dad, just the three of us. And I was like, okay, let's write that down. And then how to best support me. So instead of talking about what people cannot do, what this section is an action list for other people. So when you teach me something new, tell me, show me, watch me, tell me how I did. If we wrote deficits, we would say they can't follow multi-step directions, or they're a visual learner. But that tells people nothing. The woman who wrote that actually has a job and wrote a one-page for her employer. And she said, when you teach me something new, tell me, show me, and then watch me and tell me how I did. And the rest of her sentence was, because I want to do a good job. That is much more helpful to an employer than cannot follow multi-step directions. You can also do things, write things like follow the behavior support guidelines. Don't tell me what to do. Give me at least 2 options. Remind me to wear headphones in a noisy place. Not they are sensitive to noise. If I'm a DSP or I'm subbing or I'm in the doctor's office, okay, you're sensitive to noise. This is a noisy place. Sorry. But if you say, remind me to wear my headphones, oh, I know exactly what to do. Don't talk to me like I'm a child. So think about, we're going to put you in breakout rooms of 4. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. That's all you need. I want you to introduce yourself, what county you're from. I want you to really do in 1 or 2 sentences your own one-page description. So what people like about you, what's important to you at work. So for me at work, at doctor's office, or if they're going to volunteer somewhere. So here's an example of a one-page. It's not fancy. It's just a Word doc. You see, this is my brother. This is a picture of him. He picked it. He likes cars. So it's a convertible. You see that it says Nick the Greek, not Nick Safaris, because that's what he liked to be called. Please, please, please do not use the first person pronoun I if the person did not say it. And if the person said it, put it in quotes. It bothers me when people think they're being person-centered because they use I use a spoon, or I like this. If the person didn't say it, don't use the first person. That would be like me talking about you and using I when I'm talking about you. That's called being libelous, attributing something to somebody that they did not say and putting it in writing. So you see under important too, people, relationships, what to do, culture and identity, status. My brother wanted his hair styled, not cut. And places to go, going to the bar and having his 7-7 and watching the Indians. Great things about him. This is a general one page. We would not put ornery on a one page if someone was looking for a job, was a job seeker. That would not be a quality. We might say they're punctual, they're eager to learn or whatever, but not ornery. And then how to best, this is what other people need to do. It's very clear. Maybe you can guess, maybe not, but Nick needed total support. And so instead of saying, you need to feed Nick, it's use a spoon to feed me, put the food between my teeth on my left side. Anybody can read this, anybody can do it. Don't read over my shoulder. Put me in bed on my stomach with a pillow between my knees. Don't give me fruit. I'm most comfortable in my wheelchair. So very specific. Anybody supporting him would know what to do. You can write a one page across the lifespan. So this is Maxwell. Mom wrote this when she went back to work. And she said, you know, no one can take care of Maxwell like me. I'm his mother. And so for the daycare provider, she wrote this. You see a beautiful picture. So who doesn't want to take care of Maxwell? I mean, who doesn't want to interact with Maxwell? But now he's a toddler. And so things have changed. And so she wrote a new one. And this is for preschool. Okay. You see, these are just Word docs. This is for Liam, and it's only written for medical appointments. You know, how to support him. He needs help figuring out his surroundings. He's hearing impaired and visually impaired. If you're going to use a stethoscope, let him feel it first. Okay. What's important to him? Knowing where mom and dad are. So very specific for medical appointments. This one is for Tyler. Now, mom and dad got a little fancy, but you see this and you know exactly how to start talking to Tyler. Just talk about dinosaurs, right? That's all you need to know. This is Elizabeth Kate did this. She did her own one page. It happens to be the cover of her ISP in a different state. So it refers to other pages. People gave her feedback and said, it's hard to read with the colors and the font you used. And she told them, too bad, it's my one page. This is the way I want it to look. So I'm all for self-determination. This is for Sophia. She was, I think she was a professor. Oh, geez, I forget the story exactly. But she had had some medical issues. She was in rehab. So what's important to her during her recovery? She doesn't want scary hospital hair. So always make sure my hair is untangled and unmatted. Very clear, okay? How you can support her before you leave the room. Make sure she has her security system within reach. In her lap, her cell phone, the call light, the hospital phone, the TV remote, and the brush and hair clips on the tray. Very specific. This would be posted above her bed, so anybody walking in the room knows who she is and what they need to do to support her. Why is it one page? Because no one's going to read a 30 to 80 page IEP or ISP document, but they will look at one page. This is Ruth's. She had caregivers at home. I want to pull something out. Oh, how to support her. You need to ask her frequently if she's warm enough. Okay. You need to help her with medications. When bathing, no water on the face. People who support her best like to chit chat, are timely, stay busy, are witty. What's important to her? Having a little pour before bed, which is rum and tea. We've also learned that recently it's very important. Families have felt that it's really important when someone is hospitalized, even though we're there, to have a one page. So remember, it's one page. I tell people put it above the bed, maybe in a plastic sheet protector, and tape it. Don't put it on the bed tray, on the lap tray, because it'll get covered. I learned that the hard way with Nick. Don't give it to the nurse in charge because it'll get put in a folder and never looked at. Tape it above the bed. Everybody sees it. The phlebotomist who comes in to draw blood, the person delivering the meal tray, the nurses' aides, the doctors that are rounding. So think about what's important in the hospital for that person in that setting. How to best support them in that setting. How to position them. What to do if they're anxious. How best to give their medication. How they express pain. So for Nick, the same picture, same great things about him. But now what's important to him is when he wants to chat with me every day. And if there's a decision he has to make, call me if I'm not there. And there's my phone number. Why? Because Nick was his own guardian, even though the team said he needs guardianship. I said, no, he doesn't. I'm a speech pathologist. I know that he understands information. I know that he can make a decision. He just needs time, and people have to explain things. Tell me who you are when you come in the room. And my Greek Orthodox religion is important to me. I want to see the priest. How to best support me. And these are all written because we learned the hard way. How to feed him, because people would put the tray down and say, he wasn't hungry, Barb. You have a notebook on him. Did they read it? No, he can't feed himself, you know? So how to feed him. Nick used a laptop with voice output to communicate, but he couldn't use it when he was in the hospital. So ask me yes, no questions. I can nod or move my eyes. Very specific. Give me pills and ice cream. Here's another one. Sam with his daughters, who are the people you're supposed to call over here. But over here, things you can do to support him. Tell him what's going to happen before you touch him. Distract him when you're doing any kind of therapy by talking about birds and plants and other things. And it's best to give him pills in chocolate pudding or chocolate ice cream. For Martin, who receives supports from the DD and the mental health system, he has to have daily conversations with his mom. There's the phone number. Listening to Christian rock. If he's upset, ask him if he wants to talk to Mario. Don't order him, ask him. For Jim, he wrote this himself, so there's a lot of I's. I am kind. I am a smoker. I may need a nicotine patch. But when I get down in the dumps, remind me of all the good stuff I've done. I have my own apartment. I have a job I love. I'm engaged and getting married. I'm great at sports. So Tracy's not on the call. I don't think Tracy is on the call. But is Tracy on the call? No.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Tracy's daughter is an RN, and she works in the unit above emergency. So, you know, where people go when they leave emergency. One day she was working, and this 40-year-old woman came up to her floor. She was all bloody. She was autistic. She had a caregiver with her, and the caregiver said, there's a 3-inch notebook on her. And Tara said, yeah, okay. Why does she have no pain meds? And the caregiver said, well, when she came up, she couldn't tell people, when she was in the ER, she couldn't tell people what's your pain level, 0 to 10. So they gave her ketamine to calm her down, which is what you give animals. She was zipped in a confining bed. She said to the staff member, why is she zipped up like this? Well, because she gets very restless and she tears off clothes. Why wasn't she cleaned up? Well, she was agitated. Why does she have no clothes on? Well, because they put her in a hospital gown and it was grabbing her neck. Well, what does she wear? So Tara calls her mom, and that's Tara down there. Tara has a twin brother who's on the spectrum. So she's like, this is not right. This is not humane. She called her mom and said, tell me about that. You have something that will help me. So she went in. Her mother gave her like a 5-10 minute, sent her a copy of a 1-page. She sat with the caregiver and said, the provider, and said, tell me about this woman. Tell me what's important to her. Does she like to watch TV? Does she like to look at books? We can get all that stuff. She got pain medication for her. She said, well, if she doesn't like the hospital gown, what does she like? And she said, she likes sweats. And oh, we can get her scrubs. That way she'll be comfortable. Why is she zipped up? Well, because she doesn't like to sleep in a bed. And when she's in a bed, she knows she's in the hospital. Well, what does she sleep in at home? A recliner. No problem. We'll get the bed out of the room. Hospitals have recliners. We can do that. So Tara wrote all this down, put it up above the bed. And the next day, first of all, the caregiver felt like she could take a break. The family lived 3 hours away, and they were trying to get to the hospital as soon as possible. The patient got better care. She got cleaned up. She was given pain meds. You know, Tara asked her, how will we know if she's in pain? And the caregiver told her. The nursing staff felt better equipped. I mean, can you imagine? This person comes up to your floor, is bleeding, is zipped up in a confining bed, and you're supposed to be taking care of her. And the doctors on the rounds the next day said, whoa, 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 what's this? We need this on every patient. We know their medical needs, it's in the chart, but we don't know who the person is. And the bottom line was that the provider contacted Tara and said, can we get more copies of this? Is it copyrighted? Can we use it? We want to write one for everybody that we support. So when they're taken to the hospital, there's some information that everybody can look at and use. So the 1 page is good for introductions. It's a quick summary, 1 page. It helps with self-esteem because people hear all these good things about themselves. If you're working with teens that are in that transition period, 14 to 22 in school, it also helps them identify accommodations, which is part of the IEP, that those kids have to start identifying what accommodations they need. Staff have written their own 1 pages and sent them out to the people they support, so they get to know who my SSA is. People have written them for their employer. Job seekers write it as part of their resume. Providers have written 1 pages with the people they support, either in the day program or in residential, and they're all in a notebook. So a sub who comes in can flip through the notebook and see who everybody is. Teachers have written them, and that's the subfolder. So there's lots of different ways you can use them. What we want to see is we want people to use the 1 page. It is a human-centric way to introduce people. It talks about who the person is, not what made them eligible for services. It's simple, it's easy, and it can be read very quickly, and everybody will look at 1 page. But they will not sit and read an IEP or an ISP. And it's not demographic, it doesn't refer to services, and it doesn't even mention the disability. So I'm sorry, I should have given you time. Erica, could you launch the poll? And then, yeah, can you launch the poll? Let's do that. I'm sorry, poll number 5. Number 5, Erica. This is 1 through 4. And if not, we can take a break and they can come back and you can have it ready. Oh, never mind. So what I would like you to do is answer all that apply. What can you use a 1-page description for? Oh, okay. Never mind. In the next month, what will you use it for? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Barb. I didn't know I launched the wrong pool 5. I guess we had another one. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can end this one real fast because I did type them out. I just must
No, no.
there
No,
must have
it's
been
all
another
good.
pool 5, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I know you
It's
had
all good.
4 questions.
That's
They don't
okay.
let you have a sneak peek at the poll before you launch it. I just
Oh.
realized it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I love it though, people. Such diversity. You're going to develop it for medical appointments, hospital. A lot of day providers and residential providers do a 1-page for hospitalization, and they staple it to the emergency medical form. So if anybody is transported, they get both documents. So what they need to know medically, but also who is this person. Awesome. Employment, school, yes. New teacher, new classroom, new anything, new provider, good. Camp, thank you all. Let me then just, this is the other poll 5. You know, we can have 2 poll 5s. But what I want you to realize is you can write a 1-page for all of these reasons: to empower the person or family, to introduce their loved one to anyone, to interview providers. If someone is going to get a new provider, they can hand them the 1-page and say, this is a little bit about me. How can you help me? To introduce the person to potential employer. So all of the above. And all sorts of other things. And it's not, so we're building skills related to helping people reach their dream or their good life. A good life is also, we have people who believe in us, that we have what's important to us. Remember, you just went through listing all the things that are important to you, that you're respected and valued as a contributing member of your community. And so why the 1-page? Because we want people to see this human being of value and how they can support them, whether it's in a fun activity or work or being part of a group or a club, to feel healthy and safe and to have control. Oh, Erica, I forgot. Somebody said they wanted the handouts. Can you put the link again?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm getting the 1-page in, and then I'll put the link for the rest of the handouts. I'm just
Awesome.
explaining how to get to the 1-page and that. So I'm going to send this here. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So when I look at my brother, did he have a good life? Did he have dreams? Well, you see the top picture, he told Jim and I he wanted to drive. And so I was like, what? Are you kidding me? That's not going to happen. And Jim said, wait a minute, let's put Nick in the car. Let's put him in the driver's seat. We took pictures. This was before digital cameras, so we had to take it to Revco or CVS and have them developed. Showed my mother the pictures, and she just went nuts. What's the matter with you? I thought you were the oldest. I thought you had responsibility. Why did you let your brother drive? I said, Mom, the car didn't move. So we have to find out what the dream means. Nick did not want to have the vehicle move. He just wanted that status of, I'm in the driver's seat and look at me, I've got my hand on the wheel. Down in the bottom right, he also said, I want to go to Disney and I don't want to go with anybody else with a disability. So he's at the airport with care providers that he paid to go with him. Having what was important to him. Was he respected and valued? When he wasn't, he let people know. One time when he was hospitalized, the nurse's aides came in the room, and he had a roommate in the hospital who also appeared to have disabilities. And one of the nurse's aides said, we don't have to do anything in here because these are just the retards. And my brother reported them to the director of nursing. Yes, go bro. Did he feel healthy and safe? I hope so. And he certainly had control over decisions affecting his life, including when he was at the end of his life, what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. So absolutely. The handouts include the PDF of the slides. So yes, you will get the slides. I don't know how many of you know about Chris Nikic. He is the only person with Down syndrome. I don't know if he's the only. He was the first person with Down syndrome to successfully complete the Ironman competition. He competed in Florida where he lives. You see what the Ironman is. But what I love about his story, I saw an ESPN special about him. And on the far left, you know, Tina, I don't know if that person was let go, but the director of nursing called me because I did not know that he filed a complaint. And she said, are you aware of this mistreatment? And I said, no. And she said, I want you to know we don't take this lightly. And she said, we will follow up with this. And I said, okay, thank you. So I really don't know what happened, but good for my brother. Doesn't take nothing from nobody. Didn't take anything from anybody. I love on the far left, Chris's parents said, write your dreams down and look at his dreams. He wants to buy his own car, buy his own house, get a smoking hot blonde wife from Minnesota. You did hear me say he was from Florida. So I always want to know why he thinks a smoking hot blonde wife comes from Minnesota. But anyway, have his own money to take care of his family and be a famous public speaker. I love that his parents asked him, what are your dreams? One of the ways that we ask people to think about their dreams is the trajectory. And the most common themes are, to have friends, to have family. And what people don't want is poverty, loneliness, segregation. These are the themes. But when we have a conversation with somebody, if they say money, okay, why is money important? What do you want the money for? We need to get to the meaning, not just the superficial. So a lot of you said you're new SSAs. Having a conversation, inquiring more, tell me why, tell me what that means. What will that look like? This is called the exploring trajectory. And it is just got 2 boxes, what I want, what I don't want. I like using this when I first meet someone to build trust. So tell me what you'd like to do in your life. Not only what you want to do that may be different, but what you want, what you want to stay the same. And then what you don't want. For a good life, most people with lived experience will tell me they want a girlfriend, a boyfriend, their own place, their own money, and technology. What they don't want, number one answer is drama. And I have to ask people, what does drama mean? Because I don't know what that means. And it can mean anything. It's meant, I don't want people bossing me around all day. I don't want to be around loud people. I don't want to be around the same people every day. I don't want people in my face. For families, what I want is I want my son or daughter to be happy, to have friends, to find something they love to do, to be able to live in their own place. What I don't want, number one answer from families, for my loved one to be taken advantage of, emotionally, physically, financially, sexually. We take that good life. So take a minute and write what would be your good life. And think about projecting in the future. What's a good life for you? Consider your dreams. Do you have a dream? A dream for retirement? Maybe a dream for your children? What is your good life? And okay. For your children to be successful. Okay. Erica, are you there? I wanted to check something on my slides. Can you see my slide right now?
No,
No?
it's just all of us.
Okay, I stopped sharing. I'm sorry. That's what I was afraid of. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, you're back in business.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. To be successful. Oh, I love it. Traveling with your kids, being happy, exploring the world, to be healthy. Remember, this doesn't have to be measurable. Okay, this is not a goal on an IEP. This is not a goal on an ISP. This is, what is your vision? What do you want your life to look like? And then we as professionals then need to say, okay, in order to be healthy, you know, maybe you need to lose weight, like the doctor said, or maybe you need to exercise more. We can help you with that. I don't know. I'm making it up, but we need to take what people say and then see how our services and supports can help people move on that trajectory towards their good life. Awesome. I love it. I love it. So this is what you want to hear from people. What do you want? Also, we want to ask people, what do you want to avoid? And if you just want to take a minute and type what you want to avoid. Happy, healthy, financial, comfortable. This is what you want. Move into an education role, retirement. Yes. Half of the year in Ohio, half of the year somewhere warm. I love it. To begin a family, start a family. Awesome. Be healthier. Kids to have a career they love. I love it. Yearly trip. Dream to have all people considered equal. Race versus disability versus culture. Awesome. Awesome. Seeing the world. Traveling with my husband. I want to avoid boredom. I love it. Nagging individuals. Okay. I want to avoid hating my job. Nice. Avoid major health problems, burnout. Thank you. Stress, negativity. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how many people with lived experience say negativity. I want to avoid negativity. So please, 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 this is what you want to hear. And then your response to all this is, let's see how we can help you. Let's see how we can help you have your good life and stay away from what you want to avoid. Thank you, everybody. I love it. Thank you for engaging. So you heard me say before, I hate the word independent, but what does it really mean? And I don't know how many of you have heard of Judy Heumann. She passed away, I believe, in 2023. She was a phenomenal disability rights advocate. And this is her definition of independent living. Independent living is not doing things by yourself. It is being in control of how things are done. And that's what I want us to remember as we support people. We want you to have control over how people are helping you, over the staff that are helping you, over what you're doing during the day. Not that you have to do everything by yourself. As I was looking at retirement from the county board, and I retired 11 years ago, I decided I did not want a house anymore. I did not want to have to cut the grass. I did not want to have to worry about snow. I did not want to have to worry about everything. And so I bought a condo. And I love it. It has an attached garage. I walk 3 steps, I'm in my kitchen. It's like a duplex. So it's not an apartment. It is like a duplex. I have a 2-story. I share one wall with one other unit. That's it. I don't do everything by myself, but that's why we tell people they have to work. If they want to go vacation, if they want to go buy stuff, if they want to do fun stuff, they got to have disposable income to do those fun things, or to pay for someone to help them if Medicaid won't pay for it or the waiver. This is the expanded trajectory or the planning trajectory. Again, what I want, what I don't want. But we also know it's important to look at what are our past experiences. So what have we done in our past that's helping us that helps us get to what we want? What happened in the past that took us down towards what we don't want? And what do we need to do next? So on this trajectory, you have the vision, the past, next steps. I would suggest doing this once you have a relationship with people, because when you start talking about past experiences, we need to be careful that we're not re-traumatizing people, and that we're really asking to help us plan, not just to know. So, you know, we really have to have a purpose. It also may help a team reflect on, we tried this and it worked, and we tried this and it didn't. And so what do we need to do next? Some families have filled out the vision for what they want and what they don't want. And they have reflected on, you know, if I want my child to have friends, then okay, I included them in dance classes for all children, or they played on a sports team for all children, or they went to Sunday school with other kids. What happened in the past that didn't work? They were in a segregated classroom and didn't meet other kids. So the family may write the visions and the past life experiences, and then they go to their planning team, IFSP, IEP, ISP, and say, how can you help us move towards this vision of what we want? And they leave this empty and develop it as a team. So, poll number 6, what did you miss in your life during the pandemic?
Sorry, Barb, I merged these together, so 5 through 8. So
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what you wanted. I'm sorry when I was reading the instructions. So you're just gonna, should we just launch it and then they can just answer that specific question?
You can launch them all, but just only answer 6. Can they do
Okay.
that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want you to, you know, I use this question because the pandemic is something we all experienced. None of us got away with it. And all of these things are the important 2 areas. So during the pandemic, what did you miss that was important to you?
Having technical issues here.
That's
One
okay.
second.
Erica, I'm going to move on. It doesn't matter, okay?
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah, it's not
worry.
letting me, oh, I know why. Sorry, it wasn't letting me launch it because I got the other poll up. I'm sorry, I think I do.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I'm going to go on, so don't worry. Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, I was just ending the other poll.
yeah, don't worry. We'll
Okay.
move on. In your mind, think about what you missed and think about your vision during the pandemic. I'm guessing it was to stay healthy, to keep your family healthy, to not, what you wanted to avoid was getting COVID. Your past experiences might have been, did you work at home before? So you were comfortable? Did you have the technology? Did you have masks? Did you have toilet paper, which seemed to be, if you think 4 years back, that was a big issue. You know, toilet paper was in short supply and it's something we all needed. And then maybe you had past experiences that were impacting you. Maybe you had some health issues that put you at high risk, or maybe you lived with somebody who was at high risk. And then what did you have to do to move forward? Did you have to find face masks? Did you have to make some, which we all then learned were ineffective, but you know, we were doing the best we knew. Did you have to learn how to use Zoom? Did you have to learn how to work from home? And all of a sudden, SSAs, if you were working, you were not able to meet with people, and maybe they didn't have Zoom technology. And so you were trying to have phone conversations with people, maybe that you never even met, and trying to do that planning. If you were a DSP, a direct support professional during COVID, God bless you, because you were going into work every day to support people without the protective gear that you needed to stay safe. So it just helps us think about the impact of our past experiences on what we need to do next. So it's all good. The trajectory is done by the person and the family, and you can use it to facilitate your conversations. You know, I'm going to ask you some questions about what you want. I'm going to write it down on this paper, and then I'm going to give it to you. So you can start the conversation, but make sure you give the trajectory to the person and the family. It belongs to them, and they need time maybe to think about it. Please don't ever do this in a team meeting, because people will not feel comfortable sharing. I don't know why we think people should be sharing in a team meeting. We want them to think about their life. We want them to record it on the trajectory. You can start the conversation. You can record, but this is a conversation that's done one-on-one. None of you pull together your ophthalmologist, your gynecologist, your spiritual advisor, your friends, your parents, and say, let's talk about my life. You would be like, why do you need to know? So let's at least have respect that when people are thinking about the life they want, this is not a team process, and it is not done during a team meeting. It is, what do you want? And then what happens with the team is they then identify, how do we help you get there? And how do we help keep you on track? And how do we keep you from going towards the life you don't want? If any of you work in early intervention, early childhood, we really want families to start identifying their vision. And I would ask, when I worked with families who were coming out of EI, so they were 3 to 6, I would ask them, what do you want for your child as an adult? So that I had them think beyond school. And that's when I got answers like, I want them to have friends. I want someone to love them. I want them to have something they love to do. You can do a trajectory for life, you know, the kind of life I want. Some of you may be doing your own trajectory for retirement. You can do a trajectory for starting a family, buying a house. You can do a trajectory for a specific domain, or you can do it for your whole life. You can do a trajectory for a short period of time. A lot of times families will do a trajectory for summer. How are we going to get through the summer? And so it could be for short, for long, for focused, or for very broad and big. It doesn't matter. Here you see some people with lived experience. They did their trajectory almost like a vision board. They cut out pictures out of a magazine. Some of them wrote. You can see writing. You can see drawing. So please don't say, if you're a teacher, if you're working in transition, there are lots of ways to get people to envision what they want. They can draw, they can cut out, they can make a vision board. Also, for those of you that are teachers or intervention specialists, I know that teachers have done the one page, the section of what you like and admire as a class, and they will actually have maybe a whiteboard or a piece of paper for each student, and the students go around and they write what they like about each other, or they can draw, or they can have somebody scribe for them. Why do they do that? Because they want the students to see each other as valued people and hopefully reduce any kind of bullying or not including people. I couldn't think of the word, not including other students. This was done by a group of self-advocates who went through Project STIR training. And we told them, we gave them Post-it notes. They had an ally who could scribe. Write one thing you want in your life write one thing you don't want. And then we made a collective vision of the trajectory. It was 6 feet long. Yeah. And we had the superintendent of the county board that sponsored the training come in and read it. So he could see what people he was supporting wanted in their life and what they didn't want. A lot of times people go, what do you mean, what do I want? So we start talking about the domains. These are not skill areas. These are quality of life areas. Think about when you meet someone, probably the first question you ask them after their name is, what do you do? Then we might ask, oh, where do you live? Oh, I know people who live there. Then you might talk about, oh, maybe you know some people I know, because I know those people. I actually met a sibling on a national call, and we were on a sibling board, and we were introducing ourselves, and she said, I finally got my graduate degree, and I'm moving back to Cleveland Heights. Well, I went crazy and private chatted her. I grew up in Cleveland Heights. I graduated from Heights High, and I still go to church in Cleveland Heights. And I said, where in Cleveland Heights do you live? And she told me, and I said, oh, I grew up on this street. And we were chatting back and forth, and she goes, what church do you go to? And I told her I go to the Greek church. And she goes, oh, maybe you know my neighbors who go to that church. I said, yes, I do. And then we were chatting, oh, have you walked in the parks by Shaker Lakes? And we hit every single domain in this quick conversation on private chat during a board meeting. And this is the way we talk about our lives. We don't get up and say, boy, do I have a good life. I brushed my teeth this morning. Or boy, do I have a good life. I balanced my checkbook. Or boy, do I have a good life. I learned how to, I don't know what. I don't know what. But we talk about what we do during the day, what we do for fun, how we take care of ourselves, both spiritually, mentally, and physically, how safe we feel, and how we have control over our lives. Oh, Marcia, I'm reading it. The trajectory can give us important information about the family. Yes. A family said they didn't have to plan for their junior high age student for adult life. They were told by, oh gosh, they were told by a doctor that their child would never reach adulthood. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm glad that you kindly nudge them to think about and not get stuck in, oh, we don't have to worry about it because she won't live. Ay, 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 ay. I can't tell you how many families have told me recently, and also Tracy, and I mean since Christmas, that their child would never be able to live on their own. They would never be able to live in an apartment. And we were both like, why not? They can live on their own or in an apartment or with somebody else, a roommate, with the help they need. They don't have to have all the skills. This is a tool I think that we also gave you. It's called the Vision Tool. And instead of blindsiding people with, hey, what kind of life do you want? This is something that lists all the domains. You see the symbols. Plus, there's an area to talk about supports for the family and thinking about supports and services. The second column defines the 6 domains up to advocacy and engagement, and then asks questions like, what do you need as a family? And then the third column is for you to write, draw. People can draw whatever they want to do, but their thoughts. And I always tell people with lived experience, your vision can be that you continue to live where you are, because I don't want people to think, oh my God, I have to change. It's okay if you're happy where you are and it's working. And then the last column is priority, and I really don't make people focus on that unless they say, I just want to focus on this. People don't have to have a vision in each domain. This is not a test. We're not testing families. They don't have to have one for each domain. And some families, especially if their loved one has medical issues, will say, Barb, the only thing I want to focus on is keeping them alive during the next year. Healthy living. I'm not worried about anything else. And I'm like, that's okay, because you don't have to fill out every square. So asking the family, what's your vision? They can fill out a vision tool, and asking the student or the adult, what's your vision? And then comparing them, because remember, we value the perspective of the family. And I don't know about you, but I don't know why we expect families to all be on the same page and have consensus in the family. You don't need to answer, but in your family, do you all have consensus on everything? I see one person nodding their head. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. SSAs, family members. This is an amazing tool. Teachers, everybody. It's a booklet. It's free. You can download it. We also sent it as a handout. But it goes through all 6 domains across the lifespan. And we talk about anticipatory guidance. If you're working with adults, we also should be looking at, did they have all the experiences and opportunities during the transition life stage? And what do we need to do to get them ready for adulthood? So Erica's putting this stuff in chat. So I just want to show you what it looks like. Inside this booklet, which is free, Erica put the link in chat. You can also go to lifecoursetools.com and find it. For every one of those 6 domains, there is a 2-page spread. So this is daily life and employment. So what do we need to think about in infancy? And people are like, what do you mean we're talking about employment in infancy? What do we need to think about in early childhood? You know, are you looking for a daycare provider that accommodates my need? Are you even thinking about employment for me? Are you asking me what I want to be when I grow up? Are you teaching me routines, family routines, things we do before we go to bed, things we do before dinner, after dinner, things we do in the morning when we first get up? Why? Because teaching people routines teaches them sequence and teaches them responsibility, which you need in daily life and employment. So you could look at, if you're working with school-age kids, what questions do I need to ask? These help me with that conversation with families, but also, did we address everything in early childhood? And if they're close to 14, what do we need to start thinking about for transition? So it gives you conversation starters. The blue book. Yes. Thank you, Erica. Thanks for putting it in chat. There are also these resources called the quick guides. They're 4 pages long, and they're for 5 of the different life stages from early childhood through aging. There is not one for infancy. I'm going to take you through the 4-pagers. Please share these with people and families so they know what we're talking about when you meet with them. The first page tells you the life stage. This happens to be adulthood, so you see the icon, the definition of what adulthood means. The second page covers 3 of the life domains: daily life, community living, social safety and security. Gives you the icon, the definition, and some things to ask, conversation starters. Page 3, the other 3 domains, same thing, definition, icon, questions to consider. Page 4 covers these additional areas of what services and supports may be available in adulthood and what might our family need if our loved one is in adulthood, and it's future planning. Are we helping them make decisions? So our trajectory for using the trajectory is that people and families have the opportunity to think about their vision, gather their thoughts, and write them down. The staff can start the conversation, record, and give the person the copy and have them add to it. We can also have trajectories from multiple perspectives. So you can ask the family to fill one out. You can ask the person. If you're a staff member supporting that family, you might have a vision, you know, as an intervention specialist. My vision for you is that you get a job and your strengths are ABC. It's okay, but keep them separate. Don't put all of the perspectives on one trajectory, because we want to make sure we keep the person's trajectory separate from the family's trajectory or anyone else's trajectory. It's not done in a team meeting, and it is not done by the team. Can you do poll 7 or not? And if you can't, that's okay. Just tell me and I'll cover it.
I can do it. It's just going to be all combined. So just when I figure out which question it is, just answer that certain question.
Okay.
So if that helps, yeah. Let me
Yep.
see what question it is. So everybody, please answer question 3. I know it says questions 1 through 4, but just answer question 3, please. Unless you really want to answer them, we'll be happy to take your answer, but this is question 3. Here we go.
You said just answer question 3?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It starts a trajectory. Oh, thank you. People are answering. Yay! Awesome. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for working with us.
Thanks, Erica.
Of
So
course.
everybody, all of the answers are appropriate. It's not developed by the team. It helps the person and the family identify their good life and what they want to avoid. It helps capture information about what's happened in the past and what we need to do in the future, having experiences and opportunities, and it helps guide planning. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. That's okay. Don't worry, don't worry. Appreciate that you shared that. It's okay. Technology, you know, we go with the flow. It's all right. It's okay. Some people couldn't get it to scroll. It's okay. So the last tool that I really want to talk to you about is also part of the portfolio. So the portfolio has the one-page person-centered description on the front. Inside, it has a planning trajectory. And on the back is this integrated services and support star. So once you have an outcome, whatever it is, let's do retirement. You put that in the white star, and then you start brainstorming. What kind of supports could I use or have, or what do I need to get? I always suggest that you start with personal strengths. So what are the personal strengths of people? And end with eligibility specific. So let me take you through the 5 areas. But first, I just want to remind you, natural supports is Medicaid language, okay? None of us goes up to friends and says, I'm going to move. Can you provide me some natural supports? They would look at us and go, what the heck are you talking about? We ask them, can you help me? Right? So natural supports are help and care that you get from somebody for free. Usually it's family and friends. Medicaid, which is CMS and pays for a lot of services for people with disabilities, assumes that family or other people that live with somebody is going to provide natural supports. But federal law says that natural supports have to be provided voluntarily, and that the person receiving the supports has to say, yes, I want the help from them. So it's a little different than the way we talk about it in team meetings. I will tell you that families hate the term natural supports, because when you say, oh, so you're the natural support, what we hear as families is, you're not going to help me. You expect me to do this. So it is a Medicaid term. That's all I'm going to say. It's a Medicaid term. So let's look, there's different ways, different stars. One is the plain star, one is the split star. The split star helps you look at what do you currently have, what supports do you have, but maybe what do you need to develop in the future? So, okay, yes. So let me talk about my brother going to Disney. He put that in the middle of his star. He wanted to go to Disney. What were his personal strengths? He knew how to plan. He knew how to, he would have to save money. He knew how to save money. In the future, he would, what does he want to do when he goes to Disney? Let's figure that out. The current was that he even could tell a goal that he had. He articulated an outcome. For technology, Nick had his own laptop. He knew how to use it. He could use the internet. But he also had other technology. He had a power chair. He had a CPAP machine. And for the future, we had to say, okay, is there any other technology we need so he can travel on a plane? Relationships. My mother, my brother, and I were very supportive. So whatever we can do, Nick, to help you. But once he started telling people he wanted to go to Disney, some of our family members, like my cousins, were like, what does Nick need? Does he need a suitcase? Does he need clothes? Does he need? So once they heard that vision, they were like ready to help. What can we do? Community-based. If you're planning a trip, you can go to the library and get stuff. You can go to a travel agent, all sorts of stuff. Eligibility specific. He had, what was I going to say? Oh my goodness, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, one thing I never thought of, he had a power chair. The physical therapist working with him said, if anything happens to that power chair while he's in Florida, Nick has Ohio Medicaid, not Florida Medicaid. And so if it needs repair, we got to find out if there's somebody in Florida that our provider in Ohio has a relationship. The chair got damaged on the airplane in the cargo when it was being loaded. Nick and the care providers who he paid to go with him decided that the staff, the caregivers could operate the chair, but Nick could not because they bent the control box. So we didn't worry about Florida Medicaid. We took care of it when it came back. So let's look at some of you who work in the field know that Medicaid says we have a settings rule where we have to help people have their good life and supports in the community. So when we look at personal strengths, we're really looking at what can people do on their own? What assets do they have? And what skills do they have? And if we're talking about children, we would also, and somebody who's with their family, we would also be looking at the strengths and assets of the family. So say somebody wants a job. maybe they have a driver's license. That's a strength. And maybe their family has a car that they can use to get to and from work. So that's an asset. For relationships, we're looking at people that are not paid. So not the care provider, not the teacher, not the SSA, not anybody who's paid. These are unpaid people. So who do you know who can help you? Who do you know that can help you find a job? If you want a job in a certain area, do you know anybody who works in that area that you can go shadow maybe? Do you know anybody who owns a business in that specific? And I'm thinking of working with animals, working with children. Do you know, or working in a restaurant? Do you know anybody who does that, who you can go shadow? Think about people with ICE, people who have information, people who have connections, people who have experience. So if you're thinking of retiring, you know, do you know anybody who recently retired? Do you know anybody who's retiring before you that you can talk to and say, hey, what's it like? What do I have to think about? But also ask your friends, do you know anybody who? You know, because they may know somebody. So it's, what is that, 2 degrees of separation? Somebody who knows somebody. Technology, if you want to get a job, what technology do you know how to use? Can you look online for jobs? Do you use a smartphone? Do you use the GPS? Do you use the app for taking public transportation? Do you use the Uber app? Do you use an app for scheduling? Do you use an app for reminders throughout the day? Environmental technology, you know, do you use Alexa or Google Home or anything like that? And then assistive technology, don't just think about things that have power, you know, that you plug in, but do you use a picture board or a checklist, a written checklist, or gosh, anything low tech? It doesn't have to be high tech. Community resources. Those are places, those are resources that are available to everyone. So just because it's in the community does not make it a community resource. Some people will say they're a support group. Well, their support group probably has eligibility requirements. So just because they meet in the community does not mean it's a community resource. Other people have put the county board. No. The county board is an eligibility specific. Just because it's in the community does not make it a community resource. So what are those places maybe that can help you with finding a job? Well, walking in your neighborhood, looking at stores that say help wanted or businesses that have help wanted, maybe going to places that have job, you know, boards where people put stuff up. Maybe going to the Office on Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities to see, but also to see if you're eligible. Maybe asking people, you know, going to interest groups and seeing if they know anybody that has a job. And then eligibility specific. Please don't just think about disability related. You are, I hope if any of you are working, you have eligibility specific supports. I hope you have health insurance from your employer. I hope you have IT support. I can't call your IT department and ask them for help with my laptop because I'm not eligible. I don't work for your agency. But they can also be eligibility specific supports that are based on age. So I am on Medicare. My Medicare pays for silver sneakers, which means I can go to the Y for free. It means I can take exercise classes and wellness sessions online because I'm eligible. You might be eligible for supports because of your gender. You might be eligible for supports because of where you live or your income level. Or Think about eligibility supports because you have a membership. Maybe you belong to Costco or Sam's or BJ's. Maybe you have enrolled in hotel rewards programs where you get points, or airline programs, or other, local restaurants that have, if you go so many times, you get something for free. Those are eligibility specific. You have to sign up for them. You have to be eligible. So don't just think disability. We gave you this chart. If you're having trouble thinking, what would I even do? How do I even start thinking about this? This is a 2-page resource. In the first column are the 6 domains, and this is a 2-page, so the other domains are on page 2. And then across the top are the 5 areas of the integrated support star, starting with personal strengths and assets and ending with eligibility. So if you're looking at healthy living, for example, can the person communicate with their healthcare providers? Do they know about their own disability and related healthcare needs? Do they understand risks related to smoking or drinking or using drugs? That's personal strengths. Relationships. Do they have other people in their life who can help them with their medical appointments or taking their meds? For technology, do they use virtual appointments? Do they have pill minders? Do they have any kind of technology like a Fitbit or a smartwatch that, tells you how many steps you've taken? Are they using any kind of equipment for exercise? Community resources, going to the gym, going to community centers, going to the neighborhood pool, going to parks and walking. And then eligibility specific. You're, having therapies that are specific to your disability. I also might put neighborhood pools over on eligibility specific, because sometimes those are for residents. Sometimes you have to pay a membership, but think about it broadly and look at all the possibilities for each of these categories. We're not going to do a breakout room because we are close to the end and I'm not going to keep you, but think about a goal. Think about something that someone told you. So all of these on the left are real things. Let me just share with you some of the supports that the team came up with. There was a person who wanted to write a book about their story. Anybody got any ideas? Type it in chat. Any kind of technology they can use, any kind of community resources. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. Dictation. Anybody else? Classes at the library. Exactly. What else? Talk to text. Yes. What else? Apparently there's a program, classes at the local college, computer, laptop. Apparently there's a program, and I don't know the name of it, that will actually help you write a book and actually help you publish it. And I don't know about that. What this gentleman did, the SSA, they went to the library and they asked the librarian for 6, absolutely, sewing classes at Joann Fabrics. For number 1, thank you, Caitlin. They went to the library and said, do you know anything? He wants to write a book about his story. The librarian gave them resources, including a local group that's self-published. And they met, I think, every month at a local coffee shop. And so she said, let me get in touch with the group. Let me tell them that you're working with somebody who's interested, and let me get information about where they're going to meet next. And, have somebody reach out to you. What a cool thing. The person who wanted to teach people about disability and history, the SSA said, I went to the local community college. I loved my history professor. Let me reach out to him and see if he has any ideas. The history professor said, come meet with me, come to the college, let's talk. So the young man, the SSA, and the provider went and met with this professor. Professor asked him, what do you want to talk about? What are your interests? Blah, blah, blah. Professor said, I would love to have you come speak to one of my classes. Can you send me your PowerPoint? At which point the person went, my what? And the provider said, well, I guess we know a first step. We've got to help you put together your thoughts about this and make a PowerPoint and then share it with the professor. Driving a car, that there are classes and there are places where people can learn how to drive. Making a quilt, I love that. Sewing classes at Joann Fabrics. Yeah, maybe there's a quilting club, or maybe I've walked into, oh my God, it's not Joann Fabrics, it's another place, and I can't remember. It's a craft store. And they'll sometimes have a little class in the front of the store with all the materials, and people can just come in and start working on a craft. So great idea. Michaels, that's it, Erica. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. That's exactly what it is. I'm like, I know I've been to this place. Photographer. If there's a there are photo shops in Northeast Ohio, not many, but are there community classes? Are there adult learning classes? Is there a Photoshop and somebody who? Is there a photography club that somebody can join? So
Okay.
just all sorts of possibilities to think.
I don't see.
Is
I don't see your chat on.
Thank you, Tina, for your comments. But just all sorts of possibilities. So we are winding down.
Beggars like to ask for stuff.
Okay. Whoever's talking needs to mute. Said beggars like to ask for stuff. We all just heard you. So integrated STAR, you start with personal strengths, you end with eligibility specific, and it really helps conversation and thinking about other resources. I think you should do this as a group. I think this is brainstorming. Not everybody knows all the resources. So I've even worked with SSA departments where somebody will be working with somebody and they'll bring it to a department meeting and say, I'm working with this person. I have no clue what to tell them, related to their outcome. And it helps everybody learn about possibilities. So we want people to use the integrated STAR to brainstorm. We know that people have to look beyond eligibility specific because the system can't pay for everything and the family can't do for everything. So we need to look at technology, other people, and community resources. So whenever you use any of these tools, please always know why. I will never tell you you have to use a specific tool with everybody. There's got to be a reason. So why are you using the trajectory? Why are you using the vision tool? Why do you want to use the one page? Why would you use an integrated support star? Explain it to the person and family. And you don't have to use all the tools with one person or one tool with everybody. Use it on yourself first so you realize you understand what it takes and how to facilitate that conversation. And always give the tool to the person, the written copy. If you need a copy, make a copy, keep it in your file, but always give them the paper. People and families have said that when they have the paper and someone says, what do you want? We can just hand them the trajectory. It gives them paper power and paper courage. Or when they go to an appointment or they go to meet an employer or a provider and they say, tell me a little bit about yourself, they slide that one page across and say, here's a little bit about me. So you can use Charting the Life course. I want to see if there's anything in chat. Oh, great, great. You can use the resources to empower and support people. Today, we talked about the one page, the trajectory, the vision tool, the integrated star, the integrated support options, that chart, experiences and questions booklet, the blue booklet, and the 4-pagers. You don't need to answer the poll because you could type in chat if you want. You think you're going to use anything in the next month? Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed Cheyenne. So stay on, don't go yet, because just one more thing, we have lots of trainings on our website, lots. So I think I'm going to do a whole hour just on the one page. I think I'm going to do in the future just talking about, I'm going to do a Lunch with Life course just on aging and talking about how to support people in that over 55, 60, 65. Lots of sessions. We're having our Ohio Showcase in Columbus on the 14th and 15th. I will be using this at the one page for sure. The one page, good. I love the one page. I think it's a great way to start at your IEP's son's IEP in March. Yay! Oh, good. Very thought-provoking. Thank you. One page for sure. Absolutely. As a new SSA, I see big gaps in the planning. Oh, good. So to learn more, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. I'm pretty sure this is the end. Yes. When you click on leave, after you leave, there will be a pop-up and it will say, please take this feedback survey and let us know what you think. We need that information for our grant, and also that will be where you ask that you want CEUs. So you must complete the survey to get your CEUs because it'll ask you for your email. It'll ask you if you want CEUs, and that's how Erica will email you your certificates. So thank you for attending today. Thank you for participating. Good luck using the tools, and I hope to see you in the future somewhere, virtually or in person. Good luck, and thank you for supporting and empowering people and families. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks. So as you click leave, you can fill out the survey and ask for your CEUs. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
And please give us at least about 2 or 3 weeks to get those completed, because there was like 70 on the chat. So if all 70 of you guys are requesting that CEU, it's going to take me some time because I do other things. So please give me some time, and don't freak out if you don't get it by tomorrow. So just give me at least 2 to 3 weeks. And then if I haven't got to you, please email me and I can find out why you haven't received